I didn't expect it. No one really warns you. You hear people say life changes after 60, but you assume it's mostly about retiring, slowing down, spending more time with family, or picking up a hobby. That's what I thought too. But one morning, I woke up, and something just felt off. Not wrong exactly, just different. Like something inside me had shifted without asking for permission. It wasn't physical, though that would come later. It was deeper, quieter. A realization that snuck in like a whisper I couldn't unhear. You've entered another chapter, and it's not the one you imagined. Have you ever sat at your kitchen table, staring at the same mug of coffee you've used for years, and suddenly felt like time was slipping through your fingers faster than ever before? That somehow, even though you made it to this point, you're not sure exactly how, or why it feels so unfamiliar? That's what this video is about. It's about the moments that come after 60, the ones no one prepares you for. Not the obvious changes, but the quiet ones, the internal ones, the ones that hit you hard, without warning. Today, we're going to talk about the truths I discovered after turning 60. Some of them shook me, others changed me. And all of them, I believe, might help you feel a little more understood and a lot less alone. So if you've ever felt like no one really talks about this part of life, you're not imagining it, but you're in the right place now. Let's start with what hit me first, the silence. I've always been okay with being alone. I liked my peace, my space. I never needed noise to feel comfortable. But something changed after I turned 60. The house didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt empty. The silence wasn't soothing. It was loud. It echoed. It filled the spaces between meals and mornings and evenings with a kind of invisible weight I couldn't name. I remember one afternoon I sat down for lunch. Nothing fancy, just soup and toast. I turned on the TV just to have some sound in the background, but I didn't listen to it. I wasn't watching. I just needed something, anything, to distract from the realization that no one else was coming home. No one was walking through that door, and that was the moment it hit me. I was truly living alone, not just physically, emotionally too. Now, if you've ever lived alone, you probably know what I mean. But here's the thing. They don't tell you how different that aloneness feels once you're older. When you're younger, it's freedom. When you're older, it's responsibility. It's vulnerability. It's having no backup plan. And the silence, it doesn't just surround you. It seeps into you. But here's what I want you to hear right now. That silence doesn't have to stay hollow. One of the most powerful things I did was create a new kind of noise. Not chaos, not distractions, but life. I started calling people more, not waiting for an invitation. I'd pick up the phone just to say, "Hey, I thought about you today." I began playing my favorite music again, loud enough to feel it in my chest. I left podcasts on in the kitchen. I made space for sound. And slowly, that sound started to feel like presence, like companionship. Like the life I thought I lost was waiting for me to unmute it. The second thing that hit me harder than I expected was this. Your body starts whispering before it screams. After 60, your body doesn't make big announcements. It doesn't say, "Hey, your knees are giving out," or "Heads up, your balance is fading." It whispers, softly, subtly, a little more stiffness in the morning, a little more hesitation going down the stairs, a little less energy doing what used to feel easy. At first, I ignored it, pushed through. I told myself, "I'm just tired today," or "It's the weather." But eventually, those whispers turned into aches, then into warnings. Until one day, I sat on the edge of my bed and admitted something I hadn't wanted to say out loud. This isn't temporary. This is the new normal. That hit me hard. But it also woke me up. Because here's what I learned. Once you pass 60, your health is no longer automatic. It's intentional. You have to fight for it. Not in a desperate way, but in a wise way. In a way that says, I'm not done yet, and I want the rest of my life to feel good, not just exist. So I made changes. I started walking again. Not fast, not far, but enough. I stretched every morning. I learned how to breathe deeper. I cooked more greens. I drank more water. I got help where I needed it. Physically, emotionally, even spiritually. And the more I showed up for my body, the more it showed up for me. If you're over 60 and you've been feeling those whispers in your bones, don't wait until they become shouts. Listen now. Your body is still your friend. Treat it that way. The third realization was about something I hadn't expected at all. My sense of time completely changed. I used to plan my weeks, appointments, work, events, errands. After 60, especially after retirement, that structure evaporated. And with it, so did my sense of rhythm. The days started blending into each other. Monday felt like Thursday. Weekends weren't special. I had freedom, but no direction. And that was more dangerous than I imagined. Because without a reason to get up, I stopped getting up early. Without a plan for the day, I stopped preparing for anything. And slowly, I realized I was starting to drift. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't unhappy. I was just unanchored. And that scared me. So I created rituals. Not rigid routines, rituals. Things that gave my day shape and meaning. A morning walk, a mid-afternoon tea, a Sunday call with my sister, a Friday movie night, even if it was just me. I made the effort to give my time texture again. And guess what? It brought me back to life. You don't need a packed calendar, but you do need rhythm. Something to look forward to. Something that reminds you this isn't just time passing. It's life unfolding. That's the secret no one tells you. After 60, your sense of purpose won't come find you. You have to build it. And it's absolutely worth building. Now, before we move on, I want to tell you something really important. If any of this is hitting home, if you're nodding your head or feeling your chest tighten because you recognize yourself in these words, please don't keep it to yourself. Scroll down right now and type in the comments. That's me. Say it out loud. Claim it. Because the moment we name our truths, we stop carrying them alone. And if you're still with me, that means this matters to you. So here's what I ask. Hit the like button, not just for the algorithm, but to remind yourself you're investing in your own well-being. And subscribe, because this isn't the end. We're building something beautiful here, a community where your voice matters and your story counts. Take a deep breath. You're doing better than you think. And the next truth, it's one of the most surprising of all. The fourth thing that hit me hard after turning 60 was how few people talk about the emotional weight of letting go. You see, for years, your life is filled with noise, raising kids, working, rushing, caring, building. But after 60, the world around you starts to slow down, just when your mind starts speeding up. Memories come in waves. You walk into a room and suddenly feel like a stranger in your own life. And you realize you're surrounded by the ghosts of everything you've lived. Photos, souvenirs, old clothes, drawers filled with things that once meant the world. But now they whisper, "Let me go." But that's the hardest part. I remember trying to declutter. Just a closet, that's all I planned. But I opened one box and found an old birthday card from someone who'd passed. I just sat down and cried. Not because I missed them, but because that card reminded me that time was slipping away and I hadn't noticed. That's the thing about turning 60. It's not just about aging. It's about grieving what used to be and making peace with what still is. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means honoring and choosing space to breathe again. So if you're surrounded by things that pull you into the past, give yourself permission to release. Not because you're cold, because you're growing, because your future deserves room to live too. The fifth thing that hit me was how my circle started to shrink, and I didn't notice until it felt too small. After 60, your world doesn't disappear, but it changes shape. Friends move, family gets busy, some people drift, others fade. And suddenly you realize, it's been days since you've laughed with someone. One man I spoke with said, "I used to be the guy everyone called. Now I just refresh my phone, waiting for it to ring." That hit me, because I've felt it too. But here's what I learned. If your circle is shrinking, you don't have to accept it. You can redraw it. Start with one message, one call, one, "Hey, I saw this and thought of you." You'd be surprised how many people are just waiting for someone to go first. Loneliness thrives in silence. Connection begins with one word. Hello. And if you feel like you have no one to call, I promise you, you're not alone. There are thousands of people just like you. Right now, watching this video, thinking the same thing. So scroll down, write a comment, tell us something. Anything. We'll listen, because this is your circle now, and you're welcome here. The sixth truth I didn't expect is how much your inner voice matters after 60. When you're young, your life is full of external noise. People telling you what to do, where to be, how to live. But after 60, the world gets quieter. And suddenly, the voice inside your head gets louder. And here's the problem. That voice isn't always kind. Mine used to say things like, "You're too late. No one needs you anymore. You're just existing." Sound familiar? That voice became my roommate, my echo, my shadow. Until one day, I asked myself, if I spoke to a friend the way I speak to myself, would they still be around? The answer crushed me, but it also changed me. So I started to rewire that voice. Every morning, I'd look in the mirror and say one thing I was proud of. Just one. I'm still here. I made my bed. I called my son. I got up. That's it. And day by day, my voice softened. Then it supported. Then it became my friend. If you've got a cruel voice living in your head, here's my advice. Evict it and move in someone more kind. Because after 60, the most important relationship in your life is with yourself. The seventh realization might be the most shocking of all. You can still fall in love with life, with others, with yourself. No one tells you that at 60. They act like love is for the young. That passion fades. That wonder disappears. But they're wrong. You can fall in love again with a new hobby, a new friend, a new part of your city, a sunrise you'd stopped noticing, the scent of your favorite meal, a story you never thought to tell. You can fall in love with your body again, not because it's perfect, but because it's carried you this far. You can fall in love with your voice, because now you speak from truth, not performance. And yes, you can fall in love with a person too. Age doesn't close the heart. It opens it, because now you see what matters. Now you love not from need, but from wisdom. I didn't expect to feel that again, but it hit me hard and beautifully. So if you've been thinking those days are behind me, I'm here to say, they're not. They're waiting, just around the corner. Take a breath. We're not done yet. In the final part of this video, I'll share the 2 biggest revelations that changed how I see aging forever. And one thing I wish someone had told me before I ever turned 60. So stick with me. The next part could change everything. Let me tell you the truth that changed everything for me after turning 60. Peace isn't something that finds you. It's something you build. For so long, I thought peace was passive, that it would come with less noise, fewer responsibilities, fewer people to answer to. But what I found is that silence without intention can become loneliness. Freedom without direction can become chaos, and aging without presence can become regret. So I stopped waiting for peace to show up. I started making it. I made peace with my body, not because it's flawless, but because it's faithful. I made peace with people from my past by forgiving them silently, without needing them to know. I made peace with time by realizing that even if I have fewer years ahead than behind, they can still be the best years of my life. That's when peace finally came. Not as an escape, but as a companion, as a rhythm, as a voice that whispers, "You're doing just fine. Keep going." And now, here's the last and most important thing I never expected to hit me so hard after turning 60. You matter more than you think. I don't care what society tells you, that you're invisible, that your best years are over, that you've become irrelevant in a world obsessed with youth. They're wrong. You carry stories no one else can tell. You hold wisdom that can save someone from making the same mistake. You offer presence that can calm a storm in someone else's heart. You are the quiet strength in a world full of noise. You matter. And the moment you believe that, really believe it, you'll stop shrinking to fit spaces that were never meant for you. You'll walk taller, speak louder, live deeper. You are not a burden. You are a beacon. And someone, right now, needs your light to find their way. So don't dim it. Don't wait for permission to shine. Don't believe the lie that it's too late. Because this chapter, this is the one where you finally write the story you were always meant to live. If you've made it this far, I want to ask you for one thing. Leave a comment below that says, "I'm still here." Say it out loud, to yourself, to this community, to the world. I'm still here, because you are, and we see you, and your presence, it changes everything. And if this video touched your heart, please, like it. Not for me, but for you. To say, yes, I needed this. Subscribe, because we are building something sacred here. A space for stories that heal, not just entertain. Share this with someone over 60 who needs to remember they are not alone. We're creating a movement, one story at a time, one heart at a time, one breath at a time. And you, yes, you are a part of it. So breathe in, stand tall, smile softly. You made it here. And the next step, it's yours to take. Let's walk it together.